Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video. She doesn't really care to talk shop about comic shops, but she is here in spirit. We're going to talk about another comic shop closing down in Philadelphia. We're going to talk about the comic book media saying, hey, this is fine. It's all fine. They're going to build back better. They are, for sure. Comics have never been better, guys, but we all know this is not the case. It does seem like comic shops, or at least to me, it seems like comic shops are going to go the way of shopping malls and arcades and probably pretty soon movie theaters. That it's going to be kind of a niche boutique experience and relegated probably to, bigger urban areas, and it's going to be more of a curiosity. You're not going to have a comic shop every couple of miles. Not that you do now, but you're never going to have that again because it doesn't make a lot of sense financially. And, it's going to be something that people go to as a curiosity. They're going to change, I believe, the business model more so than it's already been changed. Right now, a lot of comic shops are holding on by their fingertips, selling back issues, Funko Pops, board games, everything but new weekly comic books. And we're going to talk about Marvel Comics and some rumors kind of swirling around Marvel Comics restructuring, because I think Disney is starting to pay attention. Disney is doing some major cost cutting right now, and I think they're starting to pay attention to how much Marvel Comics is actually costing them. And the fact of the matter is they've tried it Marvel Comics way. The last couple of years, Phase 4 and Phase 5 have been very reminiscent of recent Marvel Comics, from 2015, 2017 on, and a lot of these movies and Disney Plus shows have failed catastrophically, cost them millions of dollars, and they're probably going to look at Marvel and be like, you know what, we don't even need you guys. We really don't need you guys. Or we're going to really cut back on what we produce. We're only going to produce hits. So Bob Iger said as much. He said that they're really going to take a good hard look at Marvel and see what they're doing and see if they can cut some corners there. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Go out to Indiegogo, back Shadowbinders Volume 3. You can also pick up 1 and 2 because we're going to be reprinting those books later this year. So if you want to secure a copy, secure the bag, as the kids say, go out to Indiegogo. Got more crowdfunders coming later this year. We're going to be producing all kinds of stuff. Now, whether or not you're going to find that in the comic shop, I don't know. We're going to have comic shops. I don't know if we're going to have comic shops. This is a pretty recent story. I thought it was from 2019 originally because I knew Fat Jack's in Philadelphia was having problems. Going back, to 2019 before the pandemic. I knew that they did a GoFundMe. We'll talk about that. But they got evicted from their location. They've been there for 48 years. 48 years, and they got evicted. And on Facebook, they said that they're hoping to find another location somewhere in Philadelphia, hopefully. Now, the owner is in his 70s, so I don't know. At that point, you just kind of look at it and be like, hey, maybe it's time to retire. Maybe I don't do this anymore. But I'm going to talk about some other comic shops that said, yeah, we're going to come back, and they never did. One of them is Meltdown Comics in LA. I told people, and I actually got into it with Heidi McDonald on Twitter. I remember this very well. And this was back in 2018. I said, Meltdown is going out of business. And that is not a good sign, because if Meltdown Comics can't afford to keep its doors open, this was ground zero for the Hollywood nerd crowd. This is where the Nerdist started. This is where the Will Wheatons and the Kevin Smiths, as I understand it, they would patronize this shop. And this shop went out of business. They're like, oh, that's okay. It's because of the rent. We're gonna build back better. We're gonna open up a new location somewhere else, and we're gonna be right back. And barely an inconvenience. We're gonna open up again. Last time I checked their social media, not only have they not opened another comic shop, but they seem to be hawking NFTs. That's like what they're doing right now, because there's probably more money in it, even though that market has also crumbled. But there are so many comic shops that went out of business that swore that they were going to come back in some capacity, and they did not, because it's not a viable business model for most, especially in an expensive area. Now, Philadelphia is not as expensive as LA, but still, this is not good. 48 years in the same place. This is coming from, let's see, the Philadelphia Inquirer. Fat Jack's Comicrypt has been evicted from its Center City location. The iconic comic shop will close after 48 years. 48 years. As they closed yesterday, May 29th. Center City's oldest comic book shop, Fat Jack's Comicrypt, is closing after nearly 50 years in business. Mike Ferrero, 72, Fat Jack's owner, said the shop's landlord had scotch taped an eviction notice to the window of the Sansom Street store earlier this week. It was month to month. We're at the point where they want us out. He said he originally opened the shop in 1976 in a storefront near 20th and Walnut. He said he has struggled to pay rent and other mounting store debt since the pandemic. He is unsure if he will be able to open up another Center City location, although they have another store in New Jersey. Now, this is the same with New York, right? Like, we've had some major comic shops go out. We had Jim Hanley's Universe went out in New York, and people were like, well, that's fine. They have a Staten Island location. I'm like, it's not the same thing. Well, that's fine. They're selling on eBay. That's not the same thing. 50 years. They were there for 50 years, and they left because they can't pay their rent. You know, and they're in the middle of the city. Like, if you know what I'm saying, like, we're looking to see what we can find. He said, but Center City may have outpriced us. Hopefully it's not the end of an era. Now, I want to put a pin in that, and I want to take you over to Bleeding Cool, because Rich Johnston thinks everything's fine. He talks about how they had to have a GoFundMe looking to raise $80,000. I think it was $80,000 is what they wanted originally. Oh, Bob Shrek. Hey, Bob Shrek. $80,000? No, $35,000. But they said they had $80,000 in debt, but they got $24,000 to try to save the store, and it didn't work out, right? But Rich Johnston's spin on at the very end is they're not out. As well as adding subscribers, this is on Facebook. For subscribers who want to stick with us, we're offering 25% off new books until we open another Philly location, whether that means shipping the books out or elsewhere. As of now, we have June product coming in to fulfill subscriber orders. Again, they said in the article they don't know. They don't know, and it might be the end of an era. They don't know if they can open another shop. They're hoping they can, but it would have to be damn cheap rent. As well as adding subscribers, the Philly location is relocating. We're still looking for a new building. If you want to come to New Jersey, the store will give you 25% off for going out of your way. If you'd like to have your books shipped, we will ship your books out to you for free. Yeah, just like, but then this is the comic book media. Fat Jack's Comicrypt may be down in Philadelphia, but certainly not out. No, Rich. They're done. Like, it's going to be done soon. You know, eventually the other shop will probably get sold or something. But they're all the big major metropolitan comic book shops are going out of business. Now, it's kind of weird to look at this situation here in the Pittsburgh area, because Pittsburgh actually, I'm going to be honest, the comic scene here is probably one of the best in the country, which is why I think they did Comic Pro here. Because we have several shops that are all doing fairly well. And, you know, I can't think of any like major shops that have gone out of business because they're like, we just can't pay the rent anymore. Nobody's buying our stuff. Now, a lot of them have pivoted or whatever, but we have a ton of comic shops here. We actually have a ton of comic conventions, anime conventions, whatever. It is an anomaly, but in Philly, people jumped into the comments on Twitter and they said they only have like 2 shops in downtown Philadelphia now, right? In Center City, that's it. They have, because most of them are on the outskirts. Yeah, here's the other Fat Jack's in New Jersey. So you have to go out of your way to get over there. But I think it's a matter of time. Yeah, there's not a whole lot, because I would have expected, in Philadelphia, I would have expected more comic shops. I really would have. But yeah, everything's fine according to Rich Johnston. So I put this out on Twitter. We got people here like, seriously, heels versus babyface. Yeah, comics are thriving. Yeah, it's raining money, guys. Flash says, sad to see. Aaron Sparrow. I'm going to talk about this because he actually sent us a link to this job description. Aaron says, will Heidi go to interrogate the owner on his last day and not even offer to help him pack up his dreams? That's what happened with Jim Hanley's universe. She showed up because it was in New York. She showed up and was kind of rubbing it in his face. Like, it wasn't because of the SJWs that you're going out of business, right? And he's like, no, we can't sell product. We can't sell what the publishers are publishing. So that's a good place to segue into this. Marvel Comics may be getting cut by Disney if a new job posting is any indication. Now, I don't know what's up with this job posting. And again, back to Aaron, he actually sent me this link, I think last week, and I took a look at it and I wasn't sure what to make of it. Now, we're going to walk this back a little bit because kind of how we got into talking about comics and Comicsgate and all of that stuff was that for years we worked on Disney Comics. I worked on Disney Comics. I had contacts at Disney Publishing Worldwide. And I was talking to a guy I'd known at Disney Publishing Worldwide for a while. And this would have been 2016, 2017. And this person told me at that time, Disney was looking to outsource their Marvel Comics, that they were going to outsource them because all other Disney licenses, they were all, jobbed out to other publishers. Disney didn't publish comics themselves. They very seldom published comics themselves. They tried it in the 90s and it was kind of a disaster. But he was like, yeah, we're hearing that they just want to find a publisher to kick all the superhero comics over to that publisher and let them deal with it because the comics aren't making money and there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of bad press and things are going to change, right? And it's not going to be good for comic book creators because they're just going to outsource everything. It might even be overseas. Who knows? But they did about a year or two later wind up publishing books through IDW, who they had a pre-existing relationship with. Well, IDW pulled an IDW and they dropped the ball with Marvel and Star Wars. And as I understand it, Disney was not happy and they yanked the license away from them. And there's no way in hell they were going to be doing all the superhero comics. But the reason, as I understand it, that they even tested the waters with the Spider-Man book and the Captain Marvel book and the Captain America book, whatever they had over there, was they wanted to see if IDW could produce monthly superhero comics of a certain quality that would also kind of tie in with the movies, and they dropped the ball. It's as simple as that. So then they kind of bought Marvel Comics in New York a little more time to just burn it down even more than they already have, save for a couple of things, right? And here we are again. Now Disney is in the middle of massive restructuring and cost cutting, and they're looking at everything. And Bob Iger said they're really looking at Marvel Studios. So John Delarose put this up. I don't know if he got it from Aaron or if he got it from someplace else on Twitter or what. But yeah, this is the job posting, and it's a publishing operations analyst. It was posted on May 20th. The duties of the position follow the weekly schedules of production of monthly books, much like Marvel Comics does with its regular publishing schedule. Sounds to me this could go one of two ways. It could either be somebody from Marvel Studios that's being installed to oversee the spending, because it sounds like it is basically a production financial position. Like, you guys are spending too much on shitty comics and we can't have it. Or it could be that this person is eventually going to take over outsourcing the comics. I don't know which way it's going to go. Outsourcing makes the most sense, right? To me, it does. But I'm hearing from other folks that the page rates have dropped tremendously at Marvel, that they're now offering people under $100 a page, which is unheard of for Marvel Comics. To the best of my knowledge, that's unheard of. That's like really, really low. But those are like IDW page rates. So this is New York, New York. The job summary for the publishing operations analyst. It's a support role within the publishing strategic planning group. Alongside the manager, publishing finance and operations, this position will help maintain key budgeting processes for Marvel's print publishing business. This role will also be responsible for coordinating the weekly print run process, working across sales, distribution, ops, and manufacturing to relay final print quantities and obtain necessary approvals. Could this have something to do with Marvel possibly inflating their numbers to make it look like they're selling more comics to Disney? Because a lot of Marvel comics, a lot of graphic novels, a lot of trades are winding up at Ollie's, like piles and piles and piles. And I have to wonder, I don't know, but I have to wonder, did they overproduce material to try to pull the wool over Mickey's eyes and say, look at how many comics we're selling. Oh, never mind that we're like half of them are being sold to half of them are being sold to Ollie's at a discount for next to nothing. And here's the thing too, like it might have bought them more time that Comicron's not able to report numbers like they used to because of comic distribution being upended. So like a Disney executive can't just like go out to Comicron, because I'm sure they are. I'm sure there's somebody at Disney going out to Comicron to look and see what the sales numbers are, and you have no idea. So it sounds like they're putting somebody in there to be like, yeah, you report back to Kevin Feige. How many effing copies of effing Ms. Marvel are they actually selling? Kevin Feige wants to know so he can tell Bob Iger. And then we're going to make a decision as to what we're going to do. This role is going to be the go-to source for all ad hoc print modeling and analysis. You'll also build and maintain annual publishing forecasts and title roll-ups, initiate new project memos, processes, creating P&Ls, and routing for approvals. Manage the weekly print run process, summarizing orders and overprints, and building title P&Ls. Regularly review and update cost information, including manufacturing and creative. Okay, I'm going to reread this one because this is very important. This is about bean counting. Regularly review and update cost information, including manufacturing and creative, to keep P&Ls current and accurate. Assemble and distribute monthly reporting package, inclusive of top-selling titles, margin analysis, and latest trends in the business. Margin analysis. How much are we spending to make these books? How much profit did we make on these books? We're selling these books at $4 or $5 a piece, but we're also selling them to Diamond. How much are you paying the creatives? How many people are, what's the sell-through on these? And we're going to take it all back to Kevin Feige and Bob Iger. And I think they're going to make a decision on whether or not it would be more profitable to possibly outsource Marvel Comics, because then the license holder just cuts you a check, right, for the rights to publish the comic, and then you just have to sit back and collect money. They just give you a cut of, they take all the risk, they handle all this crap, and then they just cut Disney a check. That's how it works. That, I don't know if this is what's going on, but it doesn't sound like it's good news for the people working at Marvel that they're putting somebody in to oversee the cost structure, and they answer directly to Kevin Feige. So we'll see. But look, things are not fine in comics, guys. I don't care how you try to spin it. It's not fine. Things are not okay. Quit lying. It's not fine. Ask the people who have lost their shops. Ask the creatives that are out on GoFundMe trying to pay the rent. Ask all the comic publishers that working in the direct market that have had to, trim the fat, shut down completely. Ask anybody. Comics are not fine, but just because you want to own the chuds online, you're going to perpetuate this lie, and you're actually leading people into a false sense of security. Comics are not fine. It needs a fundamental top to bottom shift, to survive. I mean, it does. And the direct market is imploding. I'm sorry. There it is. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.